This video is sponsored by OneFootball. OneFootball's app makes it easy to keep up to date with transfer news, scores and stats all in the one place. To download the OneFootball app, click the link in the description. The app is free.
Lacklustre, unimaginative Blues, unable to even compete with a Wolves side at Goodison Park. Looking ahead to the beginning of the game, Ganaware nowhere near the squad again, even though that PSG move didn't materialise on transfer deadline day. Walcott comes into the top three, and Baines surprisingly retains his place at left back after that injury midweek against Huddersfield. Davies and Tosin keeping their place after good performances in midweek as well. Funnily enough, in those opening first 5 minutes, despite what would come in the 7th, I thought we started relatively well, keeping possession and getting forward. It was really short-lived though, as Baines brings down Connor Doherty in the edge of our half, giving them a chance through Neves to go 1-0 up so early on in the game. The next 20 minutes were probably our most impressive throughout that game. It was when we were able to keep it tightest and get forward as best we could, equalising then through what has to be said an absolute rocket on Gomez's first goal. It was after that point though that the game just took a serious dip for us. Baines clearly wasn't moving well enough after that goal, and you know you could see that he was immobile. Obviously, a few tackles that had gone on him around that point in the game had too much of effect on him. Kenny was brought on in the 37th minute. To be honest, that's quite strangely, I thought Seamus Coleman, who has had his fair share of criticism levelled at him this season, started pretty well. There was a few times he was running to our corner, and he was able to quite slickly deal with it and get the ball out. He was passing quite well, getting forward, and able to deal under pressure. For me, it was when Baines went off that his game went out the window. I just thought Kenny, who did reasonably well at left back as a right back, playing at left back, something we've gotten used to over the last 2 seasons. I just thought Coleman's game went completely out of the window. You could see it in that closing 10 minutes of the first half, and it continued on to the second. I mean, those opening 27 minutes, we were able to keep it relatively tight apart from the penalty. You could say, looking at the game, that we probably had a good chance to go ahead. But then, of course, we concede a set piece on the edge of our box, and I think you could see it on the faces of the fans in the stands and everybody watching at home. We knew this was going in. And of course, just before the end of the first half, Jimenez is able to take them 2-1 up. You could just see those long balls being played over the top were just able to rip us apart in the closing 10 minutes of that first half. Really nervy. We were just waiting to get to the end of that half, and obviously, you know, we pay the price for it and going 2-1 down. Like I say, Coleman's game I just thought went completely out of the window when Kenny came in on the opposite side of him. Starting that second half, we didn't take advantage enough of the fact that they started relatively slow. We didn't get forward. We weren't passing the ball well enough. We just weren't clinical in our passing to get forward. Walcott, who I hadn't seen much of in the game at all up until that point, I think he had one chance in on goal, and like we've seen him since he came in this time last year, just having a really low-driven shot at the goalkeeper, not challenging him at all really, and what was a really good chance. A lot of space in that goal that he could have taken us forward. The back four for me just looked all over that play, all over the point that they were in the 60th minute when Lookman came in. You could see that Kenny and Coleman were in completely different positions all the time, and the panic on Zuma and Keane's face. They try and fill those gaps. They try and deal with the long balls. It was just written all over the pitch the way that the game was going. And then, of course, in the 66th minute, the Donker takes them ahead 3-1. And what I thought was a pretty apt metaphor for what was going on in the game. We had that black cat not being able to get off the pitch. Not one player, not one steward, not one member of the coaching staff felt willing to go and try and challenge a clear pitch to restart the game. You know, I think that spoke volumes about how much we wanted to see the football restarted at Goodison Park. And of course, open it up to the commentators to have all their snide comments as they often do. That second half was just absolutely really awful. I thought Tosin kept the ball up at times, no chances in a goal. Richarlison in the first half, the end of it, just seemed to be falling over the ball constantly. Anytime we were in an attacking position, he would just fall over the ball, something we've seen more and more in the last few weeks. Sigurdsson completely anonymous during this. I didn't really see him at all getting forward defensively. His passing was all over the place. It's just every game that he goes missing in, I just think about that 40 million and think about the 10 on the back of his shirt and how important Marco Silva said that Sigurdsson needed to be for us. He's our number one player now, and he consistently goes missing more often than not at Goodison than away from home. Walcott, as I said, was just really poor. Having been out of the side for a few weeks, he just wasn't able to make an impact or take that on at all. Lookman, again, anonymous. I don't remember him having the ball really after coming on in that 60th minute. Gomez, an absolutely brilliant goal, was an absolute rocket. Of course, Tosin got the assist on that. It's probably enough to save a bit of face for the two of them. But that midfield wasn't good enough. Davies not good enough for me. He just had no confidence at all. His shoulders would drop constantly for somebody that had such a great performance midweek. Not only getting the assist in the first few minutes against Huddersfield, but he was able to keep that up for the rest of the game. He was able to play for the rest of the game. He comes out this week like he's been on for the last 5 weeks in a row, losing games and being at the fault. It's just this head drop every single time, and you looked at that back four and it was written all over it that the two fullbacks were all over the place and the two centre backs in between were just doing everything they can to put out fires. It was absolutely atrocious, I thought. Zuma and Keane both ended up with yellow cards, kind of showing how desperately they were trying to control things in the centre, but it's not good enough. Pickford, not good enough in that penalty. The 3 goals, I think he could have done better. It wasn't that long ago that we seen him on Match of the Day admitting that he hadn't done his homework before penalties. I wonder if he knew that Neves usually puts it to the keeper's left. I don't know. All round, it's the same story we've seen for 3 seasons. A team that have just come off the back of a good performance, and more than a good performance, a performance where they showed that they could dig deep and get a result, something that they've not done for a few seasons, or at least this group of players hadn't done for us at all this season. The new players before last week, they come out like they're not on any run for it at all. They lose their confidence completely, and it's not even like the atmosphere, from what I could tell watching the game today, was like it been in weeks past. There seemed like a good atmosphere in that opening game, and you could see it on the players' faces. You could see them responding to the crowd in that opening 27 minutes before Gomez's goal. After that completely goes. But just constant inconsistency that we've been used to for a number of seasons now continuing. They can't take the positives and they can't take the confidence from a performance like midweek against Huddersfield and use it today against Wolves. And they're a good side in Wolves. They play pretty open at the back. That they let you get in. We had plenty of chances today that we could have brought the game back to us. More and more as the season goes on, and we're just out of the back of the transfer window in January, it becomes clear that there's a lot of personnel that need replacing in this team that simply aren't good enough. And more games that pass us by like this, you have to wonder how many replacements are really going to have to bring in the next few windows. Just simply not good enough. And at home as well, Goodison should be a fortress, and it simply hasn't been under Silva this season. Just not good enough at all.